Clancy's identity has arguably been one of the longest-running mysteries in the Trench story, earning frequent speculation online. Some clique members say that the matter of his identity has been resolved recently with the release of evidence that points towards Clancy being Tyler, as well as the massive lore bomb that was I Am Clancy. However, with many inconsistencies on dmaorg and other discrepancies, I don't think this is necessarily the case. Clancy's identity, much like most things in 21 Pilots lore, isn't as clear-cut dry as what it seems to be. So, why isn't Clancy actually Tyler when every bit of recent evidence seems to state otherwise? Well, if we apply this perspective to dmaorg, some of the letters make absolutely no sense with what we understand from the Trench story. There are several inconsistencies. In letters 01807 Moon 18, Clancy states that they saw Tyler being captured, which is impossible if Tyler is Clancy. Many people use the letter titled Psychokinesis from the Psi era, talking about the out-of-body experience with the rider in the river to explain this inconsistency, that Tyler was being seized by the bishops at the time of being captured. But an out-of-body experience doesn't explain why Clancy doesn't recognize Tyler or himself. Meanwhile, the use of the noun rider is very impersonal and vague, suggesting that the Clancy during the Psi era doesn't recognise the bishops, whereas the Clancy of Trench era letters does. As if to double down on this point, a photo was released on dmaorg before the release of this letter, with Tyler laying down on the floor like in jumpsuit, something that wouldn't have been possible for Tyler to do himself. There is also the matter of the events after jumpsuit. Tyler is taken back to Dema by Nico, and yet Clancy remains in Trench until he is taken by Keons. Even before the events of Jumpsuit, the letter contradicts the events of Heavy Dirty Soul. In the letter Heavy, Clancy establishes that he is escaping from Dema with a group of people during the night, and that they must avoid the Watchers, which means they are sneaking around, a large contradiction to Tyler tricking Nico to drive him into Trench. These differences do not make sense if Tyler and Clancy are the same person. So, who is Clancy really? Despite the facts pointed out just now, Tyler is Clancy. After all, he confirms this in the I Am Clancy video, the lyrics in Overcompensate, the outfit for Overcompensate, and even the later Clancy letters align with his experience in Scaled and Icy. So, he is sort of Clancy, but at the same time, he also isn't. There has been a common theory floating around the clique for a while now that Clancy was the first original Dema escapee, and those who come after him use his name as a pseudonym to protect their identity whilst documenting their escape. A pseudonym is a term used to refer to a fake name writers make for themselves. They take on his legacy of wishing to escape from the lies of Dema. This is why Tyler can be Clancy, but can also be another person who has a separate and unique journey to Tyler, as Clancy was never one singular person, but rather a pseudonym several escapees can use to hide themselves if the bishops ever found dmaorg. This video will be divided into two parts. Firstly, I'll go over the evidence as to why Clancy is a pseudonym, then I will explain exactly what this means for our understanding of the Trench story. Let's start at the beginning, and I mean the very beginning, with our first piece of evidence. The dmaorg website, the website where Clancy shares their letters, actually has two different parts to it. Many of you may recognise this longer link as the one where we received the letters, but originally when the link was first found on the Vessel merch page, it was actually incomplete. This incomplete link led to another related website that held a 404 error page with a message. You are in violation. They mustn't know you were here. No one should ever find out about this. You can never tell anyone about this for the sake of the other's survival. You must keep this silent. We must keep silent. No one can know. No one can know. No one can know. When this message was first discovered, the general assumption was that we needed to stay silent to protect the banditos. After all, it was for the sake of the others' survival, others being plural, meaning that revealing dmaorg may have consequences that impact the group of people associated with the site. However, reading through dmaorg, there is barely any mention of the banditos or anything that could expose and endanger them if the website was discovered. The only person we could endanger by blabbing is Clancy. But if we're being encouraged to stay silent for the sake of several people, and the only name we have associated with the dmaorg website is Clancy, the only conclusion we can reach is that there are several Clancys on dmaorg, all going under the same pseudonym, all using the same website to document their experiences. The next piece of evidence we have is an interview with Tyler that was done, I think, before the Psy era. In the earlier letters, Clancy tells us that Keons is their allocated bishop by the fact that Keons is the one that teaches them and comes to retrieve them. However, this interview completely contradicted what dmaorg told us. Tyler calls Nico Clancy's bishop. Not only is this a tidbit of information Clancy contradicts greatly, but it's never been established if a civilian can have more than one bishop, as bishops are assigned to civilians of their district rather than arbitrarily given people. Moreover, a good indicator of whoever has responsibility over a civilian is which bishop comes to retrieve them once they have escaped. Clancy is retrieved by Keons, whilst Tyler is retrieved by Nico. It isn't possible for Clancy to have two allocated bishops, unless Clancy is several people. This would explain the discrepancy of how Clancy on dmaorg can have Keons as their bishop, whilst Tyler as Clancy can have Nico as his bishop. There are also contradictions within the earlier letters of dmaorg that point to there being several people on the website, rather than just Tyler and this other Clancy. In the letter Heavy, Clancy establishes that he is leaving with a group of people to evade the Watchers. This is evident by the fact that Clancy uses plural personal pronouns. However, in the letter that follows, Clancy is on their own, and there is no mention of the group they escaped with. Moreover, one of the very early images we get on dmaorg is an FPE violation badge, a badge given to failed escapees. At this point on dmaorg, the Clancy who writes the subsequent letters has never escaped before, meaning this has to be another person who has access to dmaorg and has recently been issued an FPE badge. This gives us a potential total of 4 people on the dmaorg website who will go under the same name. Now, one point that may be brought up to prove this theory wrong is handwriting. The handwriting of the Keons Clancy and the handwriting of Tyler in his letters look increasingly similar. However, if you look closely, there are subtle differences between the two that help to differentiate them as different people. For example, in the later letters, having more looped and connected letters, whilst the other is a bit more clinical in style. There is also the matter of the song Bandito. On the surface, nothing about the song seems odd. It's a song about the banditos and being certain in one's identity as that. However, if you listen very closely at the beginning instrumental, you can notice the very subtle sounds of a typewriter. Typewriters are only associated with one character throughout the series, and that is Clancy, as many of their letters are written with a typewriter. This, as a result, associates Clancy with the content of the song, which is quite odd yet telling for several reasons. Firstly, throughout dmaorg, Clancy admits to not knowing about the existence of the banditos as they are myth. Before Psy, the final letters confirm that Clancy gives up on escape and fails to find the bandito encampment. This Clancy is not a bandito, and yet they're associated with a song claiming confidently that they are a bandito. The dissonance between the beliefs of the two Clancys presented, the one who gives in and the one who writes that they're a bandito, isn't the only bit of proof we have of there being multiple Clancys. Bandito is a song that uses a lot of plural pronouns. This is the sound we make, where we used to bleed, where our blood needs to be. It's a song sung by several people, which makes the association with Clancy a little odd. The typewriter noises make it seem as though Clancy is writing the lyrics, writing this song as some form of letter, so for them to use plural pronouns and contradict the letters on dmaorg only adds proof to the fact that there is more of one Clancy, some having success in finding the bandito camp and others not. The strongest bit of evidence, in my opinion, is Clancy's own song, however. Yes, there is a song on one of the albums pre-Overcompensate that talks about Clancy. That song is Redecorate. There is a lot of available evidence that firstly proves that Redecorate is Clancy's song. The song starts off with a section from the very first Clancy letter, which is our first big giveaway. Secondly, the visualizer has this rich royal blue colour to it. This colour was seen on the label with Clancy's name on in the Christmas Saves the Year images. Moreover, the visualizer even takes on this Clancy-esque style, with written lyrics as opposed to animated lyrics seen in some of the other visualizers. It is undoubtable with these links that Redecorate as a song about Clancy in some capacity. The lyrics help to support that Clancy is a pseudonym taken on by several people. For a song associated with Clancy, it details the lives of 4 people, including the first-person speaker, some of them even having references towards parts of dmaorg. Seeing snapshots chronologically in line could refer to the photos we see placed chronologically on dmaorg. Moreover, looking at it from a new perspective is a reference to the letter 98806 Moon 18, where Clancy talks about finally looking out onto the horizon at the walls and realizing that Dema is their prison. Meanwhile, the second verse focuses on a different character. She had plans to change her name, just not the traditional way. There are 2 ways to traditionally change one's name. The first is by marriage, where one has their last name changed. The second is through legally changing the name on your birth certificate, although this has to be done via a governing authority in most countries. The non-traditional way would be to take a name unofficially that isn't reflected in any records whatsoever. Something which would make sense if our unnamed person took on the name of Clancy but without any legal recognition from the authority of the bishops. Haunted by a couple big mistakes could also refer to how Clancy in dmaorg regretted several things. They regret leaving Dema, they regret seeing Dema as a home and blindly following along. Even he might have made it if he lived on a different street could be a possible reference to the Clancy's dead secret code found in the Level of Concern ARG USB, as well as the propaganda used throughout the Psy era. Redecorate was also considered a precursor to our new album, Clancy, an interesting statement given what we have discussed about just now. A song talking about the individual lives of several people is a precursor to an album about the character of Clancy, almost as if these individuals are also Clancy, and this was not only confirmation that Clancy is merely a moniker for people, but that this was a little snapshot into the lives of some of the other Clancys. So, how does this recontextualize the Trench story? Firstly, it is very possible that there was an original Clancy where the pseudonym stemmed from, and these escapees who don the name are taking on Clancy's legacy to escape. It could very much be that the Clancy that gets brought back by Keons is the original, the one mentioned at the beginning of the Redecorate. But it is also important to note that Tyler is not the first to take on Clancy's legacy and use his name as a way to not only protect themselves, but associate themselves with the idea of escape. There are others. The next thing this possibly changes our understanding of is the Clancy is dead propaganda by the bishops. Originally, this was believed to refer to Tyler after his capture in Levitate, but that explanation doesn't add up. If Tyler is known as Clancy in the story, the propaganda of Clancy is dead is a blatant lie to not only us, but also other citizens and the banditos, who will see the posters and will see Tyler on Good Day Dema, aka the Psy livestream. Unless Clancy isn't Tyler's original name due to it being a pseudonym, and that someone else by the name of Clancy has actually died. This could very much mean that the offender caught on dmaorg was indeed a Clancy who was killed, likely the original Clancy. Clancy is dead isn't propaganda, but rather the truth. Why would we then be told that Psy is propaganda? Propaganda doesn't necessarily have to be fake or untruthful, but rather a message exacerbated for a political purpose. Clancy is dead has become a politicized message for the bishops to cause potential escapees and banditos to lose hope that the original, the one who sparked all of this escape, is no longer alive. The last thing this may recontextualize is one of the unsolved mysteries on the dmaorg website. Early on, an image of a child titled Self was released. Reverse search this image, you get the full picture, which contains one of the Bourbaki group founders, Andre Veal. The identity of this child is unknown, with many speculating it may be Andre's sister and fellow Bourbaki member Simone Veal, but whoever this is could be a Clancy, possibly even the original Clancy. After all, 21 Pilots has confirmed that the original Bourbaki group, the real-life mathematicians, are inspired by the bishops in the world of Trench. And in the run-up to Trench, Tyler showed an image of all the Trench files on his laptop, accompanied by an edited picture of the Bourbaki group with an extra member added. This could be the original Clancy, the one no longer present due to being punished to death. Hi, anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. That last section is kind of theory, kind of speculation, especially that bit about the Andre Viel photo, because there's not really any evidence for that. It's just taking inferences made by other things. But I'm glad to finally get this video out. It's been 2 years in the making, would you believe it? The amount of scripts I've gone through, deleted, rewritten, gone through, it's absolutely insane. I hope you like this. I don't know, currently sitting here, I don't know whether I'm proud of the script or not, so we'll just have to see how